Well, welcome back, folks. Yes, we're back with another video. This is not going to be a motorcycle-based video like I typically produce. This is going to be something else, and we'll talk about that in more detail in a moment. You may recall or have seen the video I did a few weeks ago with my buddy Pete from Ontario when we worked on his Suzuki speedometer reset knob. This is going to be a solo video, and I just wanted to reiterate a bit why I haven't been producing videos for the last 6 months or so. And the reality is, as I had alluded to in my last video with Pete, I just burned out on it a bit. I'd been working on motorcycles back to back for years, literally. Been 10, 12 years I have been doing videos on motorcycles, and I wanted to take some time and work on a few of the things around home and such, and just take a breather. I will get back to it, finish up the TS50, and work on the Kawasaki 350 Bighorn, which I'm going to sell, and a few other projects that are not all motorcycle related, but I will get back to a regular or fairly regular production schedule. But today's video, we're going to talk about a battery, and this is a Ryobi. It's a 14 amp hour 18 volt lithium. This is a brand new battery, brand new from the perspective it's never been used. I bought the tool, a tool new with two batteries and one of those, buy one get one free kind of deals, and got two batteries with the tool. And this battery from the get-go hasn't worked. So what we're going to attempt to do today is resurrect this. I'm going to use a technique that I've seen on eBay other people have used. It'll be my own version of that, so I will not claim originality with this concept or what I'm going to share with you today, but I thought I would bring you along for the ride. I don't know if this is going to work or not. We'll see. They claim, some of the other YouTube videos I've seen claim that most of the time it will work. I don't know. We'll see. So let's sit up over here at the overhead shot at the bench, and we'll talk through a little more. Over here at the bench, I want to talk in a little more detail about what's going on with this battery and what my intentions are. As I mentioned a moment ago, this is brand new, never been used. Picked it up 4 or 5 months ago as part of a package. Hadn't used it until recently when I attempted to charge it for the first time, or just check the charge rather, in the factory supplied charger that came in the kit, and I just got error lights blinking on the charger, so I looked up those messages, decode the pattern of the lights, and it indicates the battery couldn't be charged because the current was too low. And I won't go into detail beyond that, except that the charger is a smart charger and it wants to see a certain minimal current charge in the batteries before you'll attempt to charge them, and it wouldn't. This, right now, I put a meter on it, my multimeter, and it is dead flat. It is dead as a doornail. So there's no energy in this battery at all, even though it's never been used. I can go ahead and open it up, and we'll talk about that in more detail in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and open it up because it's already been replaced by Ryobi. I called them, gave them the serial number and model number off the base here at the bottom, and within 2 days I had a brand new battery from Ryobi to replace this. So, and of course they didn't want it back, so it's mine to do with as I choose. So I don't feel bad about taking this apart and trying to figure out what's going on with it. What we're going to do today, and again, this is based on videos I've seen on YouTube, and there's a lot of them out there about resuscitating. You're trying to get these batteries recovered, and that's what this is all about. What we're going to do is take it apart, and we're going to try to jump start the battery packs, and I think there's 4 of them in here. We'll see when we open it up. Jump start the battery packs and see if we can get a minimal current in them using my power supply that I use typically for electroplating, zinc plating. See if we can jump start enough to get that minimum level where the charger then will work with it and we can save the battery. These are pretty pricey. If you go out and buy a new one, I think you're going to pay $100 US dollars or more at retail. Don't quote me on that. I haven't looked them up, the pricing of them, but they are quite pricey, these batteries, so it's worth a shot. And I thought maybe get an interesting video out of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these Torx screws out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I think there's one right here. That's 9. These are security style Torx, which means I got a little pin right in the middle. I don't know if you can see that. And that one maybe there's a little pin in the middle that you got to have a security bit that's got a hole in the end. I don't know if you can see that very well right there. This is a number 10, by the way. And what we're going to do is use this to take these out and see if we can't get this opened up and see what it looks like on the inside. First thing I did is I had to pop this little plastic plug out that was right in here. And that's just a seal that the factory puts in to let them know if the battery has been tampered with. Well, obviously now it's been tampered with, but I don't care because I'm going to go ahead and take it apart anyway because it's already been replaced. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove all of these screws. Okay, we've got all the screws out. Now it's going to be a matter of seeing how this comes apart like that. It came apart easier than I was expecting. Thought I'd have to work at it a little bit. So we got that apart. And you can see, let me get a pointer here. You can see the battery packs 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, there's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here. We're not going to take this apart any further than what it's already exposed, how it's exposed here. What I have to do is refer to my notes here a second and figure out what's what. As you can see, I think this is negative right here. And I can tell that by the way this fits. See that? I don't know if you can see that. It might be shiny right there. Negative and positive right there. And that lines up and matches up with the colors. We've got black, negative on this side, red, positive on this side. So positive goes to here on the board, negative goes to here. Again, let me check my notes to see exactly how and where I'm going to connect my power supply in order to see about jump starting this. So we'll be back in a few minutes. By the way, if you notice this corner of this little device here, that's my tablet that's connected wirelessly. This is just the power. Right now I'm charging the battery in this little tablet, little Samsung tablet. But this is how I can keep track of what you can see on the camera so that I make sure I keep everything in the shot without doing one of these kind of things or getting it out of the view. Well, that's what that's about. But anyway, got to go check my notes and I'll be back in a few minutes. I went ahead and decided to take the battery completely out of the case. So you can see here, this is the top piece. It fits over the top like that, and then the two side panels. And I'm glad I did because I'm learning a lot about these batteries. This battery pack. It's actually made up of 10 separate cells. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And those together equate to around 18 to 20 volts. If I test this, let me just get my meter out here. If I test this and bypass the circuitry, that is this board right here, which is designed to protect the battery from overcharging, etc., I can very quickly see that it's, let me get this in shot for you. Try to get it in shot for you here so you can see what I'm doing. Very quickly we can see that we're getting about, the battery has right now about 2.75 volts collectively, the entire battery. Here's the companion battery to the defective one. This is a good battery. This is the second of the two that came in the pack. This is fully charged and it works fine. I'm not going to test this the same way I tested this one, because this one is going to have the circuitry in between the battery cells and the meter, but it will give me a sense of what a fully charged battery's voltage is like. So this is negative, this is positive, and we'll test it, and it comes up at about 20 volts plus, just a fuzz over 20.05 volts. So that gives me an indication that this battery needs to be jump-started. What I'm going to jump-start it to is something less than 20 volts, because I want to play on the safe side. This is a lithium battery, and you need to be cautious and use some common sense when working with lithium. So based on the voltage on the good battery, around 20 plus, I'm going to target charging this to around 15 volts because I want to play on the conservative side. This is a lithium ion. They're nothing to mess with. So I want to stay well below 18 to 20 volts. 15 volts divided by 10 is 1.5 volts each. So that is the level I'm going to charge it to in terms of voltage. Amperage or current, I think I'm going to go at about 100 milliamps, which is very, very conservative. I don't want to hit the battery cells too hard. I don't want to create a problem of fire and explosion. So I'm going to play really on the conservative side with the amperage. So what I think I'm going to do is reset up over at the other bench where I can shoot from the side rather than above, and show you the setup of how I'm going to hook up the power supply and see if we can't get this unit to take a charge on the factory charger. See, I just turned it on. I've got it hooked up negative over here to the negative strap to the batteries, positive on this side. I've got the current set to limit out at 100 milliamps. It's about 0.09 right now, but it won't exceed 100 milliamps. And this should gradually creep up to around 15 volts. It's 11.9 right now. You can see by this light the current is now currently being limited. It will prevent pushing too much current into the battery too fast. So I would expect this will gradually creep up to 15 volts. I'm not sure exactly how long that will take. It seems to be progressing quite smoothly. I think these lights flashing here on the battery, that occurs when the battery is being charged like it is right now. Essentially, I'm charging it. So I'm going to let this run for a while. I'm not going to run it unattended. I will be in the shop keeping an eye on it. I'm just going to let it do its thing for a while. And I'll bring you back later on when I think we're done doing the charge. And then we'll put it back together. It's been about 14 or 15 minutes, and you can see now the voltage is gradually creeping up, 14.2, 14.3, and that will hit the upper limit of 15 here eventually. Power supply will top out and will not allow any more than 15 volts to go to the battery. The CC right here I'm pointing to, the green light, CC stands for continuous current. Current means amperage in this case. And right now I've got the limit set at just under 100 milliamps. And eventually when this hits 15, I would expect that this light will go out and this light over here, continuous voltage, will kick in, and that will maintain the 15 amps, and then the current or the amperage will gradually drop. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring the amperage up just a little bit. I think it's running a little bit on the light side, so let's bring this up, or try to. And you can see it's going up here. You can also see the voltage continues to increase. Getting close to, there's 200 milliamps, and I would expect this will go up quicker now because I'm putting a little bit more current, that is amperage, into the battery pack than I was a few minutes ago. And I can also hear the cooling fan in the power supply was picking up speed too, because I'm putting more stress on the unit itself. Well within its limits that this device is capable of delivering. But we'll go ahead and let this continue to percolate here for a few minutes. And again, this will hit 15 volts eventually, and it'll switch over to continuous voltage, and then eventually the amperage will drop. The amperage I'm putting into this pack, I believe, is far less than what the factory charger would. Again, I'm doing it very conservative because I just don't want to damage anything, the circuit board or the batteries themselves. So we'll let this run for a few minutes and see what happens. It's about 4 or 5 minutes later. You can see I've hit the maximum of 15 volts here. You can see the amperage of current is gradually starting to drop, and the continuous current light went out. Now we're running continuous voltage kicked on, which means it's maintaining 15 volts, and it's continuing to put amperage in, but it's gradually dropping as the batteries absorb the energy. Well, it's been, probably pushing 3 hours now, 2.5 to 3 hours. And once again, we've maintained our 15 volts, which is what I set it at. It's running continuous voltage, as you can see here. And our amperage or current has dropped down to 0. It has not gone to a continuous current mode. As you can see, this green light is off I'm pointing to. I don't think it will. It's been in this state where it dropped gradually down to 0.00 current flow into the battery, or the battery pack more appropriately, for probably the last 45 minutes or so. And I've just let it run this way to see if it would in fact go to a continuous current mode, and it hasn't. Every once in a while it'll bump back up to 0.01 amps, and then it'll drop right back to 0 like you see here. So I think it's almost in a float stage. I'm not sure that's entirely accurate, but it almost appears like it's just floating a little bit. So I'm going to call it good here. You will notice that these 4 lights on the battery right here I'm pointing to in my left hand, those are air lights. When all 4 of them flash, at least that's my understanding. All 4 of them went out quite a while ago, and I believe the battery is in a state now, or at least my thinking is it's in a state now where I can put it back together, put it back in the factory charger, and see if we can't in fact get it to take a charge as it normally should. So at this point we're going to go back over to the bench, an overhead shot. I'm going to put the battery pack loosely back together well enough that I could get it into the charger and see if in fact back over at the bench. Let's put a voltmeter on this. I'll just use my little multimeter and get a voltage reading. I just came over from the charger, so it should be around 15 volts. I would expect, give or take just a little bit. Took me a few minutes to set up over here. This is positive here, negative here. If I can get this in shot for you a little bit. I think you can see that. Again, 15 volts, give or take. 15.15, close enough, just about what I would have expected. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to put the battery back together, at least minimally. I don't know if I'll put all the fasteners back in, but I want to get it back together enough that I can put it in the charger safely. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking through that. I will take you along for the ride, but I'm not going to really talk about it much. I'll probably speed up some of the footage because I'm going to be driving these fasteners by hand with this little driver. You might wonder why I'm not using a power driver. Well, the reason I'm not is, number one, I'm not in a hurry. There's no rush. And number two, I'm going into plastic, and it's real easy to strip out screws of plastic. So I'm just going to take my time, use a little driver, and put it together manually. There, got it all back together. I'm not going to put this little anti-tamper plug back in. There's no need for that anymore. Originally I was thinking I was just going to loosely put it together, but it went together so easy that I don't think there's any need to do that. I just tighten everything up by hand nice and snug. So I've got to go track down the battery charger. We'll set that up over here and we'll be right back. There's the charger that came with these two batteries. Again, this is the one I just repaired. Here's its companion. What happened, or was happening originally when I first put this battery in this charger, just to reiterate, all four of these lights right here were blinking, which you saw earlier when I was doing some of the charging. And there's a red light that's on right now. You can see, I think, right there. And then there's a green light. And they both just came on and blinked continuously. And looking that up on the internet, what that meant, it was an error condition in the battery. And again, I determined it was probably because of the voltage in the battery, for whatever reason, it's too low. So here's the moment of truth. I don't know whether this is going to work or not. This is really the test. We'll take this battery, plug it into the charger, and watch these lights, excuse me, and see if it goes into a charging condition. And if it does, I'd expect it will take some time, maybe even a few hours to charge it. If it doesn't go into a charge condition, then we've determined that, at least for this battery pack, this solution isn't effective. But here's the moment of truth. So we'll plug it in and see what happens. That's a normal condition. The red light will start to blink. It's testing the battery right now, I think. And it's giving me an error message again. This is the same condition I had before, which means it does not like this battery pack and refuses to charge it. Try that again. Take a few moments. And as you can see there, it gives me an error condition. Let's use the, or rather try the good battery. This one normally has not given me any issues at all. You can see the green lights. It means this is fully charged. All four green lights come on. It's still doing some testing. It switched to green, turned these lights out, and that means this battery is good and fully charged. And it does not like that battery pack. Nope. Let's test this voltage again, see what's going on here. Positive and negative. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, it's just short of 15 volts, so it's got voltage in it. There's something in the circuitry that's built into this battery that it does not like. And I can tell you it's not, I believe, the charger. I believe it's the battery itself, because the other battery charges just fine. So this battery I don't think is recoverable. There's probably a bad cell in here. Again, there was, 10 individual cells. One of those cells is probably defective to the point that it can't get itself started, even though I was able to get some current into it. What the bottom line is, I don't think it's salvageable. We gave it a try. That doesn't mean the solution, or the potential solution, wouldn't work on a different battery that didn't have perhaps a bad cell, at least one bad cell or more. In this case, the battery is bad from the get-go. When I first tried it, and it was brand new, like I said earlier. This has never been used, but it won't work in this charger. I've got a different Ryobi charger. Let me go try that just for grins and giggles, see if that does anything. I bet it doesn't, but we'll give it a try. I'll be right back. This is my other battery charger. I've had this for a number of years now. I've used it with the other batteries I've had up until I recently bought this new kit. and it's in a neutral condition right now. It's plugged in. You can see this red power light's on. Let's plug in this other battery. I know this is a good battery because I've used it, and it checks out okay on the other charger. See what it does. So it blinked very briefly red, and then it switched to green, as you can see here. Let's try this battery I've been working with, see what happens. It's blinking red. And according to this little nomenclature, a little chart here, when it blinks, it's defective, which means this charger also will not recover this battery. So at this point, I'm going to call it quits. I put enough time and effort into it. Again, the battery has been replaced, so I've got a new one, and new one charges and it's okay. This battery, again, probably has one or more cells that are defective from the get-go from the factory, and I'm going to consider this unsalvageable. I'm not going to go through the effort of tracking down cells, taking this all apart, putting it all back together, trying to get it to work. I know people will do that kind of thing. It's just not worth it to me because it's been replaced. And I really don't know why. My speculation, and that's all it is that one or more of the cells in this battery pack are defective and just won't take a charge. I suppose it could be the smart circuitry in the battery itself. It's got a lot of controls built in to protect the battery. It is lithium ion. But again, that's just speculation. I really don't know. The only thing I proved is I couldn't recover this battery. I'm not sure the technique isn't viable with the right conditions. It just, in this situation, didn't work. The variable output DC power supply is a great tool for something like this. You will see I put a piece of tape on the bottom that says defective. The variable power supply is a great tool for this. You can control it much more effectively than jump starting it off another battery. I think it's much safer too because you can regulate both the current or the amps and the voltage. Now I'll have to figure out how to recycle this battery. Again, being lithium ion, you got to use some care and think it through a little bit. But doesn't really matter. I've got other batteries. I've got plenty of batteries for this set of tools. Oh, by the way, I did plug this into a tool. The tool I bought it with, in fact, and it doesn't work. The tool won't run off this battery, though it will off the other one. So that's going to be it for this video today, folks. Any issues, questions, thoughts, drop me a note. Otherwise, as usual, thanks for watching.